Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 129 of Carmela's Wrestling Radio Relived. The reason I'm here by myself right now is because I just wanted to share something real quick. Today, I went and picked up Debbie's remains and I took her home, and she's home with me now. So people have said to me, including Jeannie and Rich, if you're not comfortable doing the podcast, everybody will understand. And I know that everybody will understand. But every time I told Debbie that I wanted to do the podcast, she'd be like, "Oh, don't ever not do it because I know how much you love it." And I do. I really love doing this podcast more than you could imagine. And I wanted to let you know that I considered canceling, but I couldn't do that. This means a lot to me, and I got to be honest with you. This podcast is like my happy place for my for during the week because I have so much stress most of the time. So I just wanted to let you know that everything is done right now as far as her. The estate and everything has to come next. That's all on me as well. It's difficult. It's very difficult. She was as much of a sister to me as she maybe more than if she was related by blood. So this is very difficult, and I just wanted you to know, and I appreciate it. So we have Tom Brandi today, by the way, so it's going to be a really really good show. This is part 3. So thank you very much. And now I'm going to bring on Jeannie and Rich. Hold on a second. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Carm.
Hi,
Hi,
Carmel.
Rich.
Hi,
How are
Jeannie.
you? How are you guys doing?
We're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk real quick about before Tom gets on about last night's AEW. I don't know if you guys watched it. I watched it today, and I think, as I said before, obviously for the match in Wembley, I think Will has already shown that he's going to turn. He's going to become a Death Rider through and through. And Rich, I think that'll answer your questions that the Death Riders are still heels. Did you watch it?
I saw the highlights, and I saw how that tag team match went. That 6-man.
Hmm.
There could still be a swerve. I'm still not 100% convinced that Moxley might not turn on Osprey.
That's a good thing. I don't know. Because I don't know that they're going to be together anymore until Wembley's at the end of August. So I don't know. But there's a lot going on. Did you see that tag team match with the girls?
No,
With
I did not.
Oh my God, it was Lena Cross and Megan Baines, and they went against Sky Blue, and I think it was Maya World. It was no. It was uh I can't think of her name now. That pretty little blonde girl. What the hell is her name? Oh, not Harley. I can't think of her name. Damn it, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, the match was unbelievable. Unbelievable. These little tiny girls, okay, beat the hell. I mean, they lost, but they beat the hell out of those women. Those women are huge. They really are big women. And it was such a good match. We're going to start doing some updates again as well because this Sunday is an AEW pay-per-view. And then there's coming up is the Wembley, and then it's next week is the WWE pay-per-view SummerSlam. So I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen with Brock and Oba?
I don't think there's any way that Oba does not win this match. I mean, if he loses, it just kills any momentum. And I think they've done a great job in the last couple of weeks with his promos, or he's done a great job with his promos. He's really stepped it up a notch. I mean, this guy is one of the futures of WWE.
Oh yeah.
I just don't see in any reality what sense it would make for them to have Oba lose. And by the way,
No.
speaking of which, when when you talk about updates, from the last time we had updates, Jeannie and Carmela, there's so much stuff that's been going on between the Dark Side of the Ring,
Oh
the
God, yes.
the 3-part TNA
Yeah.
thing, what's going
So
on with
good.
this what's going on with this bloodline storyline, and
Yeah.
I could say the same thing after watching Monday, right? So are the bloodline faces or heels now, right?
Yeah.
With the Solo Sokoa twist. There's just a lot of stuff that has been going on. This AEW pay per view Sunday. This is like a filler pay per view with what's his name, Kevin Knight getting the title shot.
Yeah. Kevin Knight, that's who it was that fought what's his name? Uh Darby Allen. I'm sorry, my mind is a little mushy today.
No, that's cool.
Like I said, I had a really rough experience
Yeah, that was
today.
the only match that I saw. And then I was flipping through the Phillies game back and forth. But
No, it was
and
good.
then watching some of the previews of what matches are coming up, I'm like,
Yeah, no, a couple of
wasn't
those
really
matches were pretty
interested.
good. They really were. And tomorrow night, actually, too, Oba is going to make his debut on SmackDown, which a lot of people don't get. They don't understand that at Raw, SmackDown, NXT, the wrestlers are all there. They're all there all the time. They have to show up for every single event that they have. So, in other words, if somebody is, just Raw and not SmackDown, or just SmackDown and not Raw, it doesn't matter because they're in the back anyway. So I think people need to know that. Also, I wanted to say I saw Michelle on Facebook. She's at the
yeah, the
gathering. Yeah, the
gathering.
gathering.
Yeah.
God bless. And again, with everything that's been going on with Debbie, I did not get a chance to send her the cards. We'll do it another time. But she looks like she's having a blast. She really does.
Yeah, I saw some pictures, her of
Yeah,
Arn with
yeah.
Arn and Tully, and having a senior moment. I can't remember. And Bill
And
Apter's there as well.
yeah, he's there too. And Susan Green, I know I was talking to Susan Green. She hurt something happened with her wrist. Her left wrist, I think it was, had blown up like real big and had gone all the way around. She went to the doctors, had a blood test, got some medicine. She said that it seems to be going back to normal now. So she's there. There's so many people there, and one of these years, I told Susan Green, I said, "Look, lady," I said, "nothing better happen to you. We haven't even met in person yet." I said, "If anything happens to you, I'm going to have to come after you." So she was laughing. She thought that was cute. But I definitely want to go there somehow and meet her. Rich, how far away are you from the Carolinas?
Which part?
I think she's in South Carolina. I'm not sure where in South Carolina.
That's
Just
6
ballpark it.
hours.
6 hours? Okay, and how far are you from
Yeah.
where we are? 4?
More than that.
More than
More than
4
4.
hours? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're kind of on that side, the opposite side. So it's kind of like going to see you from Jersey would not be going straight down. It would be going like this and then back. That's the only way I can explain it, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to go. Definitely got to go see her one day. Got to go meet her. I love that lady. But we're going to have her back on. We promised we were going to have her back on, and thank God, thank you Jesus, that we are getting so booked, and I'm so happy. I think what we should start doing is considering having 2 podcasts a week. We did talk about that at one point. Again, Jeannie, you're more than welcome to do it or not do it, but I think Rich, you're on board with that. One for updates, including Dark Side of the Ring, one for guests. And if we don't have a guest that week, it'll be one for Dark Side of the Ring, one for updates. I think it's important because Dark Side of the Ring is coming up with some brand new episodes. So I think that that's important. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, they had a new episode Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I watched it
that-
Wednesday
With Joe was in that.
Joe.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, my
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that was an awesome one.
listen, you guys have the questions for Tom, right? Because I left mine at
Yeah,
work, of course. All right. So
yeah.
we're going to jump in and let you ask the questions, and we'll jump in because Tom just came on. So I want to
Yay.
welcome him. Everybody, we have Tom Brandi again tonight, and this is number 3, part 3, I called it, because he is. I think on, and it's only my opinion. He can tell me that I'm wrong when he gets on, but I think he's becoming. You know how wrestlers, when they get a little bit older, sometimes they fade a little bit in popularity. But I think he's the same, if not more popular than he was when he was younger.
He
I
has his
mean,
own action figure.
I know. I'm
I
telling you.
gotta get it. I keep my
I know.
stupid
Me
senility.
too.
I keep.
I know. I love him. I love him so much. Well, let's bring him on. Hey, how you doing, baby doll?
Three's the charm.
Yeah, man.
Third time, three's the charm.
So do you agree with me that you're a little more popular now and it's not happening to
I was
you?
never popular to start with.
Yes, you were. Tom, this is our friend Rich Schwartz. Rich, this is Tom. He's a new member of
Hey,
our
Tom.
cast.
Rich, I think I met you before.
I don't know. Did you,
I don't
Rich?
think I was on before. No, I wasn't on for the other parts. But anyway, Tom, it's a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. You too, Rich. I thought, yeah, you look familiar.
Well, you may have at the wrestling years ago. He was around
Right.
years ago. But I think, and it's funny because you've had 2 really good spots on our show, and I think a third spot is actually necessary because like I said, when you first started out, like, you didn't have an action figure, you didn't have several different characters going on and all this other stuff, and it's like the older you get, I don't think there's anybody out there now that doesn't know who Tom Brandi is. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm trying to. I don't know. Nobody says anything good about me besides you two girls.
Well, it's because we know more
I've
than they
never
do.
heard anybody speak ill
Jeannie
of
and
you.
Carmela. That's all.
Ever.
Only 2 that matter.
And they
That's
better
right.
not say
That's
anything
right.
near me because
Or me.
Yeah,
I always
that'll-
tell
there'll
everybody
be
I got one good fight left in me. That's it. That's about
there
it.
you go. I got your back. I got your back.
That's right. You better. We have some questions. We have a fan/friend named Chuck Langerman who always does research for us, and he supplies us with questions. So Rich has a bunch of questions. If you don't mind, we're going to go into them. Okay.
I love it.
All right, Rich, go ahead.
Sure. Jeannie, do you have the list too?
Not near me. No.
Okay.
So you take it.
Okay.
Just
I
shoot.
mean, yeah. Okay. So, Tom, growing up, Bruno Sammartino was your idol and favorite pro wrestler. And by the way, same on my end. He was my idol. So, who was your second most favorite wrestler?
Well, it's funny, Rich. It's a great question because it's probably something I was never asked before, but it's been in my head a million times. When I was that age, so like 12, 13, going to the Allentown and Hamburg and the Spectrum and sometimes the Garden, you were not allowed to think any of the heels were cool. Like you were not. I mean, you're sworn upon. Like you didn't even think of it. Like you're cheer the baby faces and boo the heels, and that is it. There was no in between. So I look back now, and I probably didn't even realize while it was happening, when it was happening, but the coolest wrestler that you were not allowed to, again, now think about it, 12, 13, 14, you're starting to feel your oats. You're starting to be a little bit against the grain and do things you're not supposed to do. I look back now and I'm thinking Billy Graham was absolutely the greatest wrestler of all time for many reasons. So like Bruno number 1, but Billy Graham, like I look back now and it's hard to watch old wrestling on TV and videos and stuff. It's really hard to watch it. I think it is just because of the style and it's just so slow. And, like all the tapings from Allentown and Hamburg, they were just squash matches. I mean, they're hard to watch. There's so much more. Your attention's everywhere where it's like hard to watch them. I look back now, and his book was titled 20 Years Too Soon.
Okay.
And I could watch him now, 2026, all day long still. Like there's nothing that he does that bores me or like I lose interest. Now, again, he might not have been the best technical wrestler, but if you listen to his interviews and read his book, he tells you that he would find all the cameramen, Bill Apter, George Napolitano, everybody else. He
Right.
would find them no matter where they were at. And they always had different outfits, always different colors and hats to go with the jackets, to go with the vests, and like just whatever the hell he could find that was off the wall, he wore it.
Mhm.
And I look back now, and again, all these years later, and then you had guys that copied him, you know, like they'll interview Hogan and Jesse and guys that were like, copied him years and years later. But again, if you asked me who number 2 was, I would have never said it back then. Because,
Right.
number 2 would have been Ivan Putski. Number 2 would have been, like Jimmy Snuka, guys like that. But if you ask me today, and those were my best years, going to the matches. And I started out as a young photographer. That's what got me even more in love with it. It was Billy Graham. It was Billy Graham. Not even close. Not even close.
Well, it's funny that you said, that you weren't allowed to like the heels. And it's funny, I don't, for me anyway, that thought liking a heel never even entered into my mind.
Never.
Because at that time we didn't know.
Never.
It was all kayfabe. We didn't know anything about what was going on in the back. So yeah, to us, they were mean all the time, and you didn't want to be around a mean person. Even my mother would be like, "Don't go near that wrestler. He's a bad guy," and it's true.
Carmel, let me ask you this, because you used to go to, I know, Ag Hall. That's before we knew each other, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I look back now, and you could agree on some and disagree as well. The heels were nicer outside the ring.
Absolutely.
They were tired of being booed and yelled at and being mean to. They wanted to let that go. Once they got like outside the Ag Hall, whatever else, they're out back talking to people. Yeah, again, I can understand like if they try to keep up, where like say George Steele, he had to keep up that persona. Maybe if you saw him at the hotel, which we were too young. Me and my dad, that wasn't something that we did.
Right.
Hotels weren't a part of it. And then the baby faces, because they were tired of everybody bugging them all the time.
Yeah.
They were mean.
Yeah.
The baby faces were mean out back.
Yeah.
They were tired of signing autographs.
Yeah.
They were tired of being bugged about like pictures and whatever interaction. I remember that at a young age. I'm like, the heels were nice and the baby faces weren't. Not every single one, not everyone, but
I think that still holds true today.
I believe it.
I do. I believe me when I tell you, because like I said, I like who I like. Okay. But I've heard stories about them, that they were not nice to fans and such. Now there was something I saw on YouTube or something like that when they had the fan fest that Fatu, Jacob Fatu was there with a young fan, and this fan loved him so much. Now here's Fatu, who's a heel, technically,
right,
and he was teaching the little kid how to do that, the thing with the head and the, going back and forth.
Right.
And I thought that was so cute. I don't see a baby face doing that. I really don't.
No. And here's the difference, Carl. The difference is now everybody has phones. Everything you do is being taped, or it could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like they want these guys to keep in character. I could see it, not that I know any more than you know, but I could see them saying, look, you guys are going to be out in public. You got to watch what you're doing. You got to watch, like if you're trying to build up an angle, and kayfabe has got to be strong, especially if you're doing these fan fests or the conventions or whatever else. And or the WWE, like their live events, it's got to be a whole different world than when I was there, because everybody has a phone, and everything could be captured and blown up all over social media, and it might ruin everything that they're trying to do.
Right, but I would think that with what you just said, that the faces would then be nicer in public to people, but they're not. They're
Right.
really not. And a lot of the WWE people are really, really not nice at all.
I could
That
see it. I could see
yeah,
it.
yeah. Because years ago, I don't know, we didn't know each other, I don't think then, but I was there when you were probably a little kid. And I used to cut their hair in the back of the
I remember you told me. I
yeah,
remember that.
Hamburg Arena in Ag
Yep.
Hall. We used to go outside and I'd cut their hair or whatever. And same thing. The heels were always nicer. The heels were always nicer. The
Yep.
good guys, even back then, they were pompous, they were obnoxious, they
Yep,
were
yep.
entitled, they were privileged,
I
and I
remember.
don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that.
I remember that stuff like it was yesterday. We're
Oh
talking
yeah.
we're talking 1980 here. We're talking 78, 79, 80, those years. And then after that, and I was just with Bill Apter a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the same subject came up.
Mhm.
And it's true because like you like see these guys, the ultimate baby face, like Tony Gurria was there forever, right? And then you might see him out back, and I'm just picking Tony as just the first name came to mind. Not that I had any negative remembrance of him. It's just he's got people bugging him all the time. The guy
Yeah.
that was funny was Tony Atlas, because whenever, like, I had a camera up at Hamburg and even at Allentown as well, but the pictures I'm talking about were Hamburg out back. Remember, it was next to a cemetery,
Yeah.
and the guys were on the
It was.
babyface side, like they were backed up to the weeds and everything from the cemetery.
Yeah.
I got pictures today. He still talks about these pictures I took when I was like 13 years old.
Mhm.
And I gave them to him, and he uses them. He still uses them at the table today. He sells them at the table. But Tony was great. If he had a camera, he was always, played to the camera.
Oh,
But-
he did. And he always made it very clear that he loves feet. He always made it very clear because
Yeah.
I have a friend named Dawn who she's to this day very close to Tony. And every
know
time,
Dawn. I know Dawn.
yeah, every time we were at the wrestling back then, he would lay on the floor. Wrestlers back then
I
came
was there.
out.
I've seen
They
it
were
myself.
outside. Yeah. He'd lay on the floor and he'd make her put her feet on his face.
Oh, I know. With
yeah.
the tennis shoes, you couldn't
Yeah.
have. Like, we'll tease them. Like, you could see whenever we're together, and if there's like a real hot looking girl, but she has like high heels, and like we're like, Tony, look at that. Oh, no, kid, hell no, kid. You
Yeah.
go, they hurt. Them shoes
Yeah.
hurt. We've done it a million times. It's nothing
Yeah.
like it's anything new, but he likes the tennis shoes, and they got to be those little soft, little white little tennis shoes.
Yeah, like the old Keds. Remember the old Ked
Yep.
shoes? Yeah. Go ahead, Rich. What's your next question, honey?
Well, before I ask the next question, since you
Okay.
mentioned Superstar Billy Graham, Tom, if I can just follow up, do you think they made a mistake by not turning him face? Because
Million
he was
times.
getting cheered.
That might be the number one of all time, with all the things that could be second guessed or you know what I mean, like rebooked, if you want to say. That by far, when they had the dates in McMahon Sr.'s book, when you're going to win, when you're going to lose it, is the most asinine thing that I've ever heard in my life. He was so over. And the reason I said it, Carm, when you mention it, I remember that they were starting to turn, because he was the coolest thing. And they're booing him. But then if you got some of the, like if you went to the Garden, you could see they're starting to turn. If they turned him face, it would have been a mecca we never would have been able to touch. Like, he would have been Hogan before Hogan. The whole thing would have been, everything would have been rewrote history. Everything would have been different.
Oh, yeah.
Everything would have been different. He had everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the gift of gab, and he was over. And I mean, he never looked better. Like, his body at the time, because, he came back with that stupid karate, but his body never looked the way he looked like when he lost the belt. He never looked that good. I mean, you could have rode another, even if it was like another year, even if it was a year, and whatever it was, he was so over. And like Bruno was over. And can you imagine those two together instead of against each other?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That would have been great.
That would have been
really
incredible.
It was unbelievable. And it's so funny because like I love hearing the guys talk years later, like who they liked and who they didn't like. And, Graham was in his book. In his book, he'll say he never, ever said one bad thing about Bruno, ever. He loved Bruno. He hated Backlund. He didn't like Maskers. He loved Putski. So I love, because you don't know. Like, I could tell you people that I like or not so much, but when it's a guy in that era, and he was giving you reasons and other things but you're like, it was awesome because you weren't there, and it was you were there as a fan, as a young fan, and hearing him talk about it later was cooler than really anybody else.
Yeah, I like that. Rich?
Okay. So, Tom, you wrestled about 4 years in both WCW and WWE. In which federation were politics the heaviest?
Same. It was really the same.
Really?
For different reasons. WCW, the main goal was to get Dustin Rhodes and Eric Watts over the most because they were real young. And WWF didn't have the nepotism WCW had because, Dusty being the booker, stuff like that, didn't really have the nepotism as WCW. Politics, I don't know if I'd call it politics. It's just, it's almost like a guy they had plans for before he ever started in WWF. So it's almost like they envisioned where a guy would be or the height that they were going to make him before he ever stepped in the ring one time. So it was different, similar but different, because you had Bill Watts and Dusty Rhodes were the top bookers and everything else. So needless to say, they had an agenda.
Okay, Rich.
Okay. Actually, I came up with my own question, Carm,
Okay, that's
outside
fine.
of the list. So, Tom, so you were Salvatore Sincere in WWE. Did you have any input in the naming of that character, or
Now,
is that what they just told you?
Rich, I don't know. I'm going to touch on it real quick only because you weren't here last time. But a Cliff Notes version, when we were hired, I was hired with 4 other guys. We were all hired the same day. What they did was they were starting up B shows and C shows. They needed veteran talent to fill out the roster. So it was Tracy Smothers, Alex Porto, Bill Irwin, and Tony Anthony, all guys that were like very good in other federations along the line. All veteran guys that all could, they could put with anybody. And myself, to where everything was kind of like a rib when you go there for some reason. Like they would call Freddie Joe Floyd. It was a combination of the Briscoes like middle names, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like they ask you, they always trying to find something in your past to give them an idea of what they could do, a name or a gimmick. So
Right.
like Bill Irwin played hockey. It's like so stupid. Played hockey. Let's call him the Goon. Alex Porto might have been an amateur wrestler. Let's call him the Pug. Tony Anthony's dad was a plumber. Let's make him the Plumber. For me, I lucked out.
Yeah.
Maybe they looked at me as I was sincere, but I wasn't sincere. So they called me Sal Sincere. I got the best out of the 5. And what happened, Rich, after our initial 6-month or actually 1-year contracts, they were kind of like, I don't know how they would be described. They weren't part-time contracts, but they weren't the all-in contracts. So I was the only one that survived the 5. They got a real contract after that. So to answer your question, I did more of the character once I started. So like once they said, okay, here's your name. Your name is Salvatore Sincere. They brought you in. They picked me up in my house, brought me to a tailor in New York City and measure me for the outfit. So they whoever came up with the outfit, which I totally loved, every part of it. I loved the colors. I loved the idea. I loved the colors. Every part of it I loved. And then once I started working matches, I kind of just like, my mom always called me a ham. She goes, "You're a ham. You're just a ham. You've always been a ham." I just hammed it up. I mean, I hammed it up. You're a heel. It was, to me, I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to be goofy. I wanted to be that, that slick, slimy, sneaky heel. And that's where my input came in. Like you kiss the Italians kiss each other on the 2 cheeks. I started matches that way, and nobody had get any input. So like all the stuff I did, whether it was, I think they told me to talk with broken English. I think they did, because they said, you're going to start the match out on the mic and you're going to say, "I love you so much from the bottom of my heart, sincerely." So, I mean, that part. And then I just ran with it. Like I found things that I could do or there's things you couldn't do. So you had to watch what other guys were doing, like finishes and stuff.
Right.
Any kind similar finish to another guy. So you had to really watch what you were doing. So, I mean, that was part of it too. So like I couldn't have any mannerisms of anybody else as well.
Well, I'll tell you something. Jeannie and I have always loved you ever since the first time we met. But I got to tell you, the way you did South Sincere with that hat a little tilted on the side, that was pretty damn sexy, I thought.
Well, it
I
was
think-
fun. Like I loved it. I didn't
Mhm.
want to I didn't want them to turn me when they did.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity there because it was a storyline with Mark Mero and Sable, and she was the hottest thing going, which is great. I
Right.
wanted to stay heel longer,
Right.
and I wish that I stayed around long enough to even be in the job squad with Al Snow. But I
Mm.
mean, that all you know, I was everything like timing wasn't right.
Are you allowed to still use South Sincere
Oh
now?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the stuff like the guy with the figurines that you mentioned. There's no copyrights on anything. They don't care. They don't
Oh, well, yeah, but I think they do with the big names. Like now, there's a
Well-
copyright on everything now.
Yeah. So like it's almost like the trademark. They keep it for a while, and then what people don't know is once it expires,
Yeah.
you're able
And
to buy it yourself. You could own it yourself.
And you could do anything you want with it at that
Yeah.
point. I think it's 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I mean,
think.
unless they're mad at you, or unless it's something like maybe a bigger name, or
Mhm.
they have merchandise coming out or whatever, or they
Yeah.
don't want you making a ton of money on merchandise. So like, unless you get one of those cease and desist letters, pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, we got a few of them from WWE. Remember, Jeannie, when we
Yeah.
had our radio show? Oh, yeah, we got a couple of those from WWE, cease and desist.
Or did they
we?
want you to
No.
stop? Just mention.
They didn't
talking
want
about
us to
them?
talk about them. Yeah, we were talking about them, and
I mean,
Joel,
it's all good
Joel
stuff.
hated. But he hated WWE. He's hated WWE since day one. WWF, and they did. They sent us a letter saying that they don't give us the authority to talk about them the way we have been. So, two things happened with that. Number one, we were really grateful that they were listening to our radio show, and number two, logistically, legally, whatever you want to call it, freedom of speech, we didn't have to stop.
Oh hell no!
No, we
You-
didn't.
You don't
and
have
we
anything
didn't.
in print. You didn't have anything. And you weren't making money on anything. It was just conversation.
Right, exactly.
They
That's what
have
we
no
do
ground
now.
to stand on there.
It's freedom of speech. That's the one thing that I strongly agree with in this crazy world that we have right now is freedom of speech. And as long I look at it this way, as long as you have like it's your truth. Like somebody told me I want to write a book, and somebody was telling me, like I said, like if I name people, like let's say as an example, I knew Tom Brandi for 40 years and I love him and he loved me, but it's my truth. You understand?
Right.
I don't
right,
have to have proof
right.
that you did. And now if you got mad
Right.
at me, let's say,
Right.
and you said, wait a minute, I never liked her. I never said I loved her. I don't mean it, then you'd have to prove that you didn't say it in
Well-
the same way I'd have to prove that you did.
Right. So look at all there's a zillion podcasts. What are they going to go after every one of those? I mean,
No.
come on.
No.
Everything is a conversation, and whether it's social media or a podcast, that's all people do is talk. That's all
Right.
it is.
Exactly. That's
Talk
just
is
all it
cheap.
is. Yeah,
Talk is cheap.
exactly. And WWE has a lot of their own that they talk about too. Although they are a little bit more careful, they don't talk about other federations at all because they don't want to give any plugs to anybody.
No.
But like I said, with what we're doing now, and I got to be honest with you, and I'm grateful, and I got to tell everybody that I'm grateful. Our numbers have been going up, so I'm really grateful about that.
That's
a little
awesome.
bit at a time, So go ahead, Rich. What do you got next?
Okay. When you entered WCW, you tag teamed with Tom Zink. Why was the Z-Man always so bitter?
So it all started way before I got there. I was in Puerto Rico at the time. I was waiting for my, this was, a territory in Puerto Rico, not Carlos, but opposition. So like
Right.
you get to a point, I was really ready. Like I really felt like, I was best shape of my life. I was 26, and you're ready. Like I'm ready. I'm beyond ready. Like wrestling real great matches over there, great wrestlers over there. And so I sent my information into both companies, and like a week later, I get a message from Magnum TA saying that we need a partner for Tom Zink. You look the part, because I mentioned everybody in the company's name that I had wrestled before, and there was a bunch that were there at the time could vouch for me. So they brought me in, and he was, I love the guy, but he was just so bitter. It just, a lot had to do with the nepotism I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And that was even before Eric Watts started. So like he had a hard one for like Dustin Rhodes, and just because he was so much better than Dustin, and Dustin, just was taken care of. And then when Eric Watts came in, forget it. I mean, there's only a handful of guys that he buried nonstop, and they were definitely two. I mean, but it's like everything else. There was a lot of guys that were giving out like guaranteed money, so they were getting spoiled, like sitting at home not working, and then not having to be on the road and not working, but getting paid.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, that was the time. Jim Hurd wasn't there anymore, and he was giving out. A lot of guys were getting a lot of free money. Guys that they forgot were on the roster. A lot of free money, but it was sad because he was such a great talent. And when you're with a company a long time, and then you kind of just get stale, and they kind of run out of things to do with you. I mean, they never turned him heel. They were just putting him with other partners, and I was just grateful for the opportunity.
Well, I think that you guys were great together. You both resembled each other in a lot of ways. So it was like two hot guys, together. And I thought that was pretty cool. But I felt sorry for Tom because I understand his grief because it happened a lot. And there was certain wrestlers, like you said, that could be out for close to a year and doing nothing and still getting paid.
Too. They were. I mean,
getting
you had
paid.
A guy like, I've had guys in the company, like a guy like Brad Armstrong. I can remember the days like he goes, you guys look great together. You're never going to get the belts because Tom has so much heat. And it's like just out of nowhere. Like Brad just came out of nowhere. And I believed him because he wasn't the only one that told me that.
Right.
And it was like whatever. It's like you're out there doing everything that you're supposed to do. And I just wanted a fair shot. You want to be able to like have great matches and then reap the benefits. Right. And then when you have that like noose around your neck saying you guys are never going to win the belts because Zenk has so much heat, and it's like Jesus Christ, and then breaking us up and going singles, that wasn't the future either. That was that. Then you knew you were just there, biding your time basically.
Yeah, that sucks. That does. Rich, go ahead, hon.
Okay. By the way, Carmella, talking about wrestlers there for a year getting paid, you can say the same thing about AEW, but that's for another time.
Yeah, no, you can. No, you can. No, I'm not going to deny that. You can definitely. They stay home for a long time and still get paid. But then it's like sometimes your job where you work. Some people get away with murder. Some people have a hacksaw by their neck all the time. That's the same way. Like a lot of people are off and they get paid, but then you got some poor guy or poor girl that's not as popular or not as up in the ranks with the promotion, and they can't take a day off because then they get in trouble. You know what I mean? It does that in every federation. Absolutely.
Rich, I'll say this before your next question. See, I was there during the Attitude Era, and it was like the Monday Night Wars. They would keep you under contract just so you wouldn't go to the other company. That's something that nobody thinks about. AEW, there's no Monday Night Wars now, okay? But at the same time, AEW, as long as their pockets are still deep, they'd rather pay you just to keep you on the roster than let you go to WWE. So, I mean, that is a big part, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa. They'd rather keep you than let you go and maybe succeed elsewhere.
Well, yeah, but now WWE... Yeah, well, like now TKO is renegotiating contracts, cutting some of the wrestlers' salaries in half. I believe that's one of the reasons that the New Day left.
Yep. It is. It is one of the reasons.
It's always going to be part of it, no matter what. Everybody's going to have a different deal.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
Another pro. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll think of it later.
Tom, another pro wrestler that was always unhappy was Shane Douglas. Shane certainly had a lot of potential. In your opinion, why didn't Shane reach his full potential in WCW and WWE?
I love Shane. We started out around the same time. It was funny because there was something going through Facebook a couple weeks ago. Bad News Brown's daughter was searching for some videos and stuff. So we were in Italy, and this hits home for Carmella because Dominic DeNucci brought us to Italy in 1986. And we wrestled, and it might have been the first time I met Shane, or maybe one time before that. So Shane started with Mick Foley, and we were all on this tour together, and we were in Rome. And Dominic's nephew had an Italian restaurant over there. I mean, he fed us 3 meals a day for a week's time. So they brought over Bad News Brown to wrestle Antonio Inoki back-to-back nights in the one of the big coliseums over there. It was 13,000 sold out back-to-back nights. So his daughter went on Facebook a few weeks ago looking for the video, if there was any kind of footage from the show. And that's how far back I go with Shane. And I always loved Shane, would never say a bad thing about him. Shane had a great spot there with Steamboat, and they were wrestling Austin and Pillman every night for an hour, every night on the house shows for weeks and weeks and weeks. That was a program together, those two teams. And it was phenomenal. Now, again, you forget about the Dean Douglas. I don't remember anything about that. I just know that was his first chance. And then after that was WCW, and then whatever else after that. But it's like everything else, Rich. It's like some stuff is guys are predetermined. His biggest, I guess, spot was ECW. So I mean, he definitely had a position in all the companies, and Shane was in a position to have made great money in different periods of time. And again, maybe what he did in ECW, Vince never loved that. So he might just kind of like keep you limited from moving forward instead of making you a big star. Like that's what happened with Al Snow. Al Snow was there when I was there in WWF. Al Snow was just kind of there. They were just trying to figure out if and what they wanted to do with him. So they sent him to ECW, and he created the gimmick with the head.
Right.
Got over like $1 million. So he's over like crazy. Bring him back to WWF. What do? They squash it because it wasn't Vince's idea. Vince didn't come up with it. Vince didn't create it. Vince brought it back and ruined it and destroyed it. And that's
crazy.
That's what they do.
Vince did that a lot. He did that a lot. If it wasn't something that he thought of, like you said, if it wasn't something he thought of, even the dumb things that he thought of, he kept in. And something like that head thing. I mean, in the beginning, I thought it was stupid, but it was funny, Right.
And like about Shane reached different levels of success, Rich. So to say, how come he was never the Undertaker? Well, you know what? Nobody else was either. So it's like he reached multiple levels of success, and he's still around. He's still taking bookings and stuff. So, maybe he had some off, out of the ring type of situations and issues. I feel bad for him, but, I'm glad he cleaned it up. Other than that, I mean, he was always a top flight worker and athlete, and he was in a lot of good positions. Really was.
I thought he was phenomenal in ECW. I mean, he actually, in my opinion, became the face of that brand for a while.
Oh, he was for a while. He definitely was. He definitely was with Bigelow and Candido and everything. He definitely was. Definitely was. I mean, a lot of those guys, that was their calling card. I mean, they didn't ever duplicate what they did in ECW, which, like I said, I just had so many doubts with ECW, only because, like, I remember when it went belly up at the end. I mean, they should have had so much money. And then I'm running into guys on the indies like Bam Bam Bigelow, and he's like, they owe me $60,000 and I'm going to get it. I'm like, yeah, good luck.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the guys. And Carmel, it wasn't small money. Nobody was crying about, oh, yeah, they owe me $5,000. Nobody said that. Yeah. Everybody I was running into, Candido, Shane, Bigelow, pretty much they left everybody with high dollar debt.
Wow.
It was all, every one of them was like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And they're like, oh yeah, Paul said he's going to get it to me. I'm like, yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
But for when they folded, it was very confusing because all you were seeing was all these big crowds and doing great business everywhere. And
it was a mishandling. It was a mishandling of money. It had to be.
Somebody had to walk away with money. It had to be Heyman because.
Oh yeah, big pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and little hands, as
Yeah,
they say. Yeah,
yeah, short
but
arms and deep pockets. I don't know
right,
what happened.
but you would think that once he got to a point where he was doing okay, like he is now. I mean, obviously, a lot of those people aren't really around, but you would think that now he would say to the guys, "I'm sorry. Let me do right by you." The
No,
guy's got
God, no.
millions. I mean, he's got
That means he
millions.
would have to admit something was done wrong in the first place. Never,
That's
never. He would
crazy.
never. He walks away basically saying, "I made all you guys." That's if you were to interview Paul Heyman right now, and he was being honest off camera, he made all those guys. He made whatever success they had in wrestling was because of him and his company. Because
Yeah,
they were all just around before it. They were just all around.
right. But in the same token, those people needed to eat during that time
Of
too, and
course,
they had a family they had to take
yeah, of
care of.
course,
I think that alone would make me feel bad.
of
I mean, but then
course.
everything makes me feel bad. So,
Yeah, he would. If you interviewed him right now, he'd say, again, Tommy Dreamer was nobody until, and Taz were nobody until he made them stars there, and the Dudleys, and Cronus, and this one and that one. Everybody was on the Indies. Not many guys came out of his training center, so to speak. So all these guys were like New York guys or guys that were recommended or referred, and they went there to get work there and catch a break somewhere.
yeah, that's crazy. Go ahead, Rich.
So what you just said is a great segue into the next question. Was Paul Heyman the biggest manipulator that you ever met in your over 40 years in the pro wrestling business?
Well, it was a very small dose because you got to remember, I met Paul Heyman when we were 12 years old, taking pictures at the wrestling matches.
My brother
Okay?
was there too. You probably met him too.
Yeah. So you remember Bob Mullerton, right, Carm?
Yep.
So Bob and Paul were always together. They were best friends,
Yep.
and I'd see them if they ever came to. Very few they didn't come to Hamburg and Allentown unless they came with Elliot, but it was very rare. So we made friends, and we all sat together at Shea Stadium, the Bruno cage match with Sabisco.
Right.
We all sat together because we got our tickets from Elliot Marin, and we all were together. And
Oh wow, there's a name from the past.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
were friends back then, and back then, you either talk on the phone or you like send each other. We traded pictures, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then Paul started to like show up as like he would get in little spots to do interviews like with Rob Russin and Mike Dano, and they put him in front of the camera. And it's like, hey, I know that guy. And then, but again, we're always I was a wrestler, he was an announcer. And then you kind of watch each other, we start to run into each other like it shows as we were getting older. The only time that I had a problem with Paul was when he took over the book. But again, it was very early stages. Now, I was real busy on the indies working with you guys and Dennis Carluzzo and I was really starting to get a lot of work.
Mm.
And then Paul, his big deal was, oh, brother, we're going to do this and do that. But every time he give you a booking, it got canceled. And it got to the point where it was like, he's feeding me a good line of bullshit, and I want to trust him because I like him, but he's giving me nothing but cancellations. And I'm missing dates for Dennis. I'm missing dates for other promoters, Bob Raskin and Savoldi, guys are running real shows with real dates. And then Paul gives you a date, put it down, cancels the couple of days before. I could have wrestled for Dennis.
Yeah.
And another one. Then when we finally worked for him, he did a little angle where it was, me and Dreamer did a run-in on Stetson and Hot Body, did an impromptu match, like 30 seconds. We won the belts. ECW Arena when it was just getting started. We won the belts. Then all the cancellations started. So we did a phantom title change to lose the belts to Shane and Taz. And that was never look back. That was it. Never look back once.
Well, let me ask you another question before Rich goes on to the next one. We just watched a documentary of TWA, Joel Goodhart's promotion. There was stuff that was said during that documentary that when Paul was there, Paul worked with them at one point. He knew, or he could see that Joel was struggling. Okay. And apparently he was telling people Don't worry about it. I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna do, as soon as Joel went down, Paul took everything that he had learned, everything he'd seen, everything, and he just picked up and ran with it. Do you think that that was kind of like, I don't know, a little cutthroat? I mean, to be honest, I mean, he, instead of trying to help Joel, which could have been beneficial for him, he waited around like a hawk, I think, or as they say, waiting around for the kill.
Yeah, the vulture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Carl, let me ask you this. Let's do the timeline. So, didn't Paul start after Todd Gordon took it over?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah, he did.
He
Okay.
had to. He had to. So, like what you're saying,
TWA, and then when he closed down, Todd Gordon picked it up and created Eastern Championship Wrestling, and then
Right.
Paul swept it. Although Paul did work for Joel as well, and Todd. Then Paul got Extreme.
Jeannie, I think because I just saw a video. It's funny out of coincidence. So Paul managed for Joel because it was a match. Yeah. You guys remember, like
Paulie Dangerously.
Yeah.
So it was Austin Idol against Paul Orndorff, and Heyman was the manager. I think that's all that Paul did then. I don't think Paul had any kind of say until Todd put him in charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he had no involvement in Joel like as a booker or anything.
No.
I just think that he was a manager. Maybe he helped behind the scenes a little bit, but I don't think he was, where he grew into that monster in front of the camera until Todd, until ECW was really kicking in and Paul was really able to take over and book who he wanted and all his angles and storylines kicked in. I think with Joel, he just managed.
Okay, because that's not the story that we got. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Well, no, it is. He was around during TWA as a manager. And then when Joel closed, Todd took it over and brought a lot of the guys that were with Joel, obviously, to Eastern Championship, which was Paul Dangerously and all the other TWA guys. And then it was under Todd that he started getting more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
And then Todd was running out of money, and that's when.
So what was the pretense that Heyman screwed Joel? I don't understand that.
I'm missing.
Where
that.
did
in the conversation, and we were there, people were saying, and I don't know, I got to ask them. Like, just
I think you might have misunderstood.
Maybe
I'm just curious because I don't remember. Like, in other words, you could tell me, I just might not remember.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah, I just remember Paul as a manager then, whether he helped Joel a little bit here and there or whatever. But when he became the Paul Heyman, of ECW front and center, that was way after Joel.
Okay. All right. So that was my mistake. I think it just because it came up in conversation and I went with it. But
yeah, there were guys saying that they think Paul will pick up, but Joel doesn't have a problem with Paul. He never did.
Right, I got you.
Paul never had a problem with Joel, and Joel never had a problem. They worked fine together or whatever. All that stuff came later.
I mean, there's Joel never had heat with Todd Gordon either, did he?
I'm not 100% sure that he actually had heat with him. I think there might have been maybe an issue here and there, but I don't know that there was actual heat,
I mean, he just took it over. It was a clean takeover, right? I mean, just made it his own. He took it over from him.
Yeah.
Make it his own, but I don't remember anything.
No, I don't know. I have to look
Jeannie,
into that.
Jeannie, you have a great history of that timeline. If I recall correctly, when Todd Gordon took over, Eddie Gilbert was his first booker. And then Eddie Gilbert, there were problems with him that he was having, which ultimately then led to Paul becoming the booker.
Yeah, I believe that's it. Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense now. Yeah. Okay, Paul, if you hear me, I'm sorry. If you're listening to this show, I was wrong. Okay, I always admit when I'm wrong. I always do. Okay, Rich, next question.
Back in the day, Tom, you were around both Bradshaw and Vader. In your opinion, who was the bigger bully?
let's see. Um, I'd say Bradshaw was the bigger bully by way of like what a bully is. So like he would pick on the smaller guys. I had a very clear visual of what he did to Brian Christopher in the locker room one time. Very clear visual, but it's like everything else. The bullies pick on the guys that they could
They could bully.
bully and beat up, or they think they could beat up. Vader was just gruff. He was just gruff. Like I worked with Vader at least probably a dozen times, and it's like everything else. He's going to lay it in. I never, ever, ever once, and to this day, it was as we speak right now, he could have laid it in, but he took a lot of shit too. And this was in WCW, and he really he gave me so much. There's a match, if you guys remember, if you want to write it down, I think it's definitely still on YouTube. So it was me and Tom Zank against Vader and Orndorff.
Oh,
And
okay.
I hadn't seen it in years. And then when I remember somebody sent it to me, I thought it was the greatest match ever, only because I was surprised at how much that Vader let me do to him and Orndorff. And it was just great. It was just, for me, and I'm always critical. I'm like, man, this is way better than I remember. But like Vader was just gruff. Like, it's like everything else. He got beat up, I think, more times than I remember him beating anybody up. And
I think just from what I knew about then, that Vader compared to JBL was like a kinder person. He was nice, supposed to Bradshaw, right? Yeah. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's just a bad day today.
I think from my time with Bradshaw, like I just saw him in St. Louis, actually, he was nicer to me when I saw him at this convention last month than, not that he wasn't nice. It's just, you know what it is? People underestimate, they don't understand this. When you're with these guys 7 days a week, you just get tired of seeing them. Like, you could joke with a guy and then that joke gets old. You can rib a guy a little bit and rib gets old. You're seeing these guys 7 days a week. You can't keep getting new material to entertain these guys, to keep laughing and keep joking around and goofing around. I mean, you had guys like, Jesse James was good, Brian Armstrong. He was great for that.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Gunn, Brian Lee, Al Snow. There were just guys that were just like put a smile on your face just the second you saw them.
Mm-hmm.
And Bradshaw was always cool. I never had a problem with him. We didn't have to be best friends, but you can't be best friends with every guy either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But when you say bully, like there was a thing like I saw, we all saw it about the Brawl for All and how that was basically put together because Bradshaw was such a bully.
Yeah, and they wanted Steve Williams to win it. They didn't know that Bart Gunn had what he had.
Oh my God,
he blew up in their face because Bart Gunn was tougher than the rest, and Steve Williams wasn't, and the whole thing blew up in their face.
Yeah, Steve Williams and Bradshaw went down like a stone.
Yeah,
and that was crazy because something like that. I mean, they wanted to make sure that Bradshaw showed that he wasn't all that, but then they didn't realize that Williams was going to go down too. Which I thought, I would watch that every day of the week. I love that.
And you got to remember, there were more job matches back then. So like, if you put Vader in there with some TV, like the TV matches they would have back at WCW, he's going to pound and pummel the guy because he's trying to build up that reputation. I'm just saying, like on TV as a tough guy, like the fans are watching.
Right.
And you're like, oh, there's no fake punches in this match. There's no soft, anything in this match. So that was a big part of it too. But like either guy, and then when I would see him later on, like I would see Vader more on the indies than Bradshaw. Wasn't doing him right away.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't be any freaking nicer. Like we're best friends. He was just looking for somebody that he remembered, that he knew from being in WCW together and WWF together. So it was like we're best friends. Even though you weren't best friends then, you were better friends after the fact.
Right. I've heard it said more than once that the Road Warriors never pulled back. Did you ever fight the Road Warriors?
No, it's funny. I don't think of all the guys, I really don't think I ever worked with either one. And it was funny because early on, they just looked real dangerous, really, really dangerous, just because they didn't know any better. Plus, you have the promoters telling these guys, oh, don't sell, look strong in there, look tough in there. That doesn't work either, but they could pull it off because they were so big.
Yeah.
They were, they wanted them to be rough. They wanted them to be wrecking machines, which, again, it is what it is, but they were well loved. Everybody loved those guys.
Yeah, but is it true that they didn't hold back? I mean, that they really hit people a lot in the ring?
I think they got better early on for sure, but I think when I was there, they did some devastating moves, like their finish where Godwin hurt his neck and then he pretty much couldn't wrestle after that. That's all real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured that.
That's all real stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean, again, you could lay it in. You don't have to punch the guy dead in the freaking mouth.
Right.
Like, even to this day, if I was wrestling a younger guy and it happened, I wouldn't even get mad at the guy only because you think he doesn't know any better.
Right.
It's a guy that's been around. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Buddy Lee Parker was always the smallest guy in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And he trained. He was a trainer at the power plant. He was the stiffest son of a bitch there was. The one time he popped my eardrum, I wanted to strangle the son of a bitch.
Oh my God!
Because he knows better. He's a trainer.
Oh wow!
You
Yeah.
go in there and it's like you punches you in the mouth and pops you in the ear. I wanted to kill him. Everybody loved him because he was Sarge. He was Sarge, good old guy, good old Southern bunking, the whole deal. Wanted to kill the son of a bitch because he was dangerous.
Exactly.
You're a freaking trainer, dude, and you're hurting people.
Yeah, that's not.
One of your students.
Yeah, that's not cool at all.
Students.
Now that, as Rich said, a segue into something else. And you said that, I wanted to ask you. Years ago, we learned from Davey O'Hannon and other people that we've had on that wrestlers learned how to wrestle in the ring. There really weren't schools back then. Okay. Do you think that it was easier or better to learn how to wrestle as you went along in the ring, or like today's performance center and schools like that?
It's not even close. I mean, when I started, King Kalua was coming to my mom's, my mom's house. We had a mattress and we're doing flips on the grass and the dirt. And now, I mean, what it took me to, I didn't start getting really smooth until I went to Memphis, where I wrestled 6 days a week. And you guys did the bus trips down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Savoldi would do 2 and 3 days in a row. That's the only thing you could hope for, where you could put a couple days together. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Christ, where I was after maybe a year or two, these guys are after a couple months of repetition. So it's not even close in comparison. You go now, they just drill you into the dirt, but this is how you learn.
Mm.
And what these kids can do now after a couple months, and they go in there and they just call it in the ring and one thing after another. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, holy shit. I can't do that to this day, let alone back then. I mean, where they are now, and just the ability and the training is second to none. You can't compare it. I'm not even naming schools. I'm saying all the schools.
Yeah.
Are teaching you something that took me years to learn or get comfortable with.
So then you would say that getting trained in a school or in a building is better than learning in the ring.
Oh yeah. Well, you're learning in the ring how to work in front of a crowd. In the school, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
You got to take the crowd into consideration. You can't just go in and have a school match when there's live people there. And that's the biggest downfall of the young guys. They're just worrying about what the next spot is, and the next spot, the next spot, and next spot. And they're not acknowledging the crowd. You got to do both.
Well, see, how do you feel then about how they do it now? Like before a big pay-per-view, let's say the wrestlers are in that town for a whole week and they practice during the week. Whereas even at the end of the conference that they have at the end of the matches, like Triple H has said, oh yeah, he made a mistake, like letting people know that it was choreographed and blah, blah, blah. And they rehearsed it and all that. And he made a mistake. How do you feel about that coming out the way it has? Like we're like, now there's no kayfabe at all.
Right. The problem now is, before you would have all these house shows that you could practice and try a match together for like 10 days leading into the pay-per-view, and you try different things, and then you figure out what you want to do in the pay-per-view. So now they don't have those house shows. So you either got to practice it or do it in a wrestling school or do it, in the training center or whatever. But there might be things that you want to try, and that's the only way you're going to try them is if you practice. So yeah, I mean, it's real life. It's the current status of the business. Whether I like it or you like it or don't like it, it's just where it is.
Right. Well, because years ago, like you said before, wrestlers wrestled 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 nights in a row at all different small cities. So there wasn't any internet. There wasn't really TV coverage or anything like that. So like if I lived in Philadelphia and you lived in New Jersey really didn't know that Philadelphia had the same match before you got to see it the next week or the next day. And that's what happens. Today it's different. There's too much available now, so they can't,
And that goes way back to when we were going to Allentown and everything. But even up until a couple of years ago, it was that way. As long as there were house shows, a steady house show circuit, these guys could work on stuff leading into a pay-per-view. So that really has only changed in the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Rich, what do you got next?
Okay. Tom, when you were in Puerto Rico, did you have any interactions with Invader One, who is the cold-blooded killer of Bruiser Brody?
No, he was with the other company, but his younger brother was with us, Milo. He was Invader number 4. So he was one of those guys. The thing about the Island guys, they didn't really want to put over the American guys. So it's like he was the smallest guy there, and he would sell. He wouldn't sell, and he'd really like try not to sell until like Bill DeMott beat the shit out of him one show, and he made him sell. He says he told him, because we would do interviews, pre-tapes on Wednesday nights leading into the weekend, and he basically told him, if you don't sell, I'm going to make you sell, and he did. But it was I never met. I don't think I ever met Invader One, but we all know the story there. Carm, I don't know if you know this. You're the one that called me that night. I remember exactly where I was. I slept. We had like in my parents' house, we had like the coolest room in the house was like the family room.
Right.
So in the heart of summer when you're dying, I would sleep there almost every night. It was the coolest room. I'll never forget. You called me. It was about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I was watching TV. You're the one. I remember like it was last night. You're the one that called and told me about Brody.
That was horrific. That was horrific. That was one of those calls that you never want to get, even if it's not a relative. It's one of those calls you never want to get. You never want to hear. It was just cold-hearted, cold-blooded. And the thing that made it worse is justice was never served.
Never served. The guy walks around every day like it's nothing. And, they'll have their side of the story, which obviously, kept him out of jail and whatever else. And it'll never change. And
you know what? But I believe one day, and that goes for all of us, one day he's going to have to come. He's going to have to fess up when he meets up with the big guy, the real big guy.
Oh, yeah, he'll get his. He'll get his.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Everybody
he got it before now. He should have got it before now, but he'll get his.
Some people call it karma. I call it God. He's going to get his. And some. We all have to face the piper, as they say.
He's going to get some terminally ill disease. It'll be cancer or something, and he'll get his because, like I said, he walked away unscathed.
Well, it's just like what happened with Snuka. I don't know if you knew Nancy, but no. I did, and it broke my heart. And same thing, he got away with it. Vince helped him get away with it. And I don't know whether his illness that he got before he passed away was a karma thing, but he had to wind up paying his dues in the long run too. And it's a shame because the person's family is never at peace because they never get their restitution. They never get any closure. And
so, Carl, let me ask you a question then, because that wasn't something that we did. We didn't. I was probably 12 or whatever. So we didn't go to the hotels or anything. And I was just there with my dad. So what was from what you remember, I've heard the story 100 times. From what you remember, from the point of leaving the Ag Hall to the hotel to Hamburg the next day, what do you remember about it?
About that day?
Yeah.
Well, the way I remember it, and I didn't stay up too late anyway back then, but then I drank too. But the way I remember it, Snuka wasn't around. He wasn't there partying with people that night. He wasn't around, but everybody was talking about it. Everybody was, because at the time, the findings at the time were that her occipital bone, which is the bone in the back of your head, the hard part, was the one that was impacted. And they were saying that it looked as if he or whoever it was had grabbed her by her face and pushed her, and she fell back and hit that part of her head on a bureau, a curb, whatever it was. And the wrestlers that were there were all agreeing to the fact that Snuka did it. That they believed that he did it, and they, nobody actually saw him do it, but I saw how he treated her sometimes.
Right.
And it not cool, and he had a big drug problem, and you know that, and I know that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. What did you hear?
No, I mean, it's always been the same story.
Yeah.
But then you take into consideration the drugs and everything else, and it could have just simply been what you just said. They got in an argument. He pushed her, hit her head. Could have been that simple. It could have just been that simple. And he wasn't in Hamburg the next night. He disappeared for a while.
He wasn't there. Yeah, he wasn't there.
Yeah, Vince covered it up.
Oh,
The police report disappeared.
The story is though, and this is again only a story, that Vince went to the prosecutor's office with a briefcase, a bigger briefcase full of money, and that's how it got squashed. And
I don't doubt it.
And that's the thing. And it's funny because when you say it's as simple as that, I understand what you're saying. But back then, back then it happened. No, I'm not going to even say a lot more because it still happens now. I believe that no one, man or woman, no one should put their hands on somebody else. Okay.
Right.
For whatever reason, if you're having an argument, there's a lot of other ways, but let's face it, Jimmy Snuka against Nancy, come on, that was like putting Mount Everest against a little molehill. You know what I'm saying? You can't. And the thing is, with as angry as he got, let me tell you something. I saw Jimmy Snuka pissed off in the bar, and there were wrestlers that even ran away from him.
Oh, okay? I believe it.
Oh, I don't
doubt anything. In other words, I never judged him from that point on. I love the guy. Besides what you heard about that, it's just, again, every part of the story that I heard, it makes sense. It's believable.
We were very close to Buddy Rogers too, and we got a lot of stories from Buddy as well. There was a lot of times that they never let Snuka drive by himself to go to any of the shows, because Buddy used to tell us that Snuka would be following him, or Buddy'd be following him, and then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, Buddy turned right, Snuka turned left, and you never see him again after that. He didn't go for the show, But it was either that he didn't know where he was going, or he didn't want to, and it was like you couldn't really make Snuka do anything. That's the problem. He had a very bad temper, and he had a very quick temper, and you mix that with drugs, and you got a World War III right in your living room.
And that's why the story's believable. That's why it's very believable.
I believed it. Like I said, Nancy was about this big. Okay. I mean, I was never small, that, but Nancy was thin. She was short. She was, a little tiny thing. Snuka, I mean, come on, and I actually saw them fight once in person, and she got scared. Even like I said, even the wrestlers got scared whenever he acted out like that. No one went up to him and tried to pull him away. No one, because he didn't care. He didn't care.
Right.
He was very strong, but the drugs made him stronger.
Oh yeah, and then between the steroids and the recreational drugs.
Oh yeah.
You don't know what you're getting into. It's scary.
No, yeah, it is very scary, because not only was he not. I honest to God, I'm going to be honest with you. I met Jimmy Snuka at, oh my God.
I know what you're going to say, at Mike's.
The
Fire Skate Zone. That was 2011 or 12.
Yeah, and my daughter and I were there, and we had pictures taken.
I took pictures.
Yeah. And he couldn't have been nicer, Tom. Could not have been nicer.
No. I'm saying, I didn't know him then. I didn't know him until we started doing the independents together. Yeah. And then I spent 20 some years with the guy, and I couldn't even try and say one bad thing. I mean, he was always the laid back brothers, you know, the whole that. I mean, like I said, I was on shows where we were a tag team in one match, and then I come back and change outfits, and then I wrestled them in the main event later in the
Yeah.
show. So,
Well-
I mean, we did that for years. And like I said, 20, I don't even know, you put a number on stuff, 20, 30 years of all the independent shows we did together. What was in the past from that night was in the past from that night. He just
Wasn't there a show, Tom, that you were on? I think it was when we first saw you after 20 years or whatever. In Trevos, Doc Diamond's thing, Snuka was there, wasn't he?
yeah, because he was making
Yeah.
all
He had
the
his
shows.
book. He was doing his selling his book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was making
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
shows. Like that time period was the greatest period ever because you had Snuka, Tito, Bundy, Nikolai, Atlas, a couple other guys still in the ring, and they were you didn't run a show unless one of those or two of those guys were on the show.
Right.
Now you get nothing. There's nothing like that on the indies.
No.
No. But Snuka was in the ring for all those years, and pretty much up until maybe a year before he died, he's still getting in the ring, just a lot slower. But
Yeah.
again, they needed money for whatever, and he's still paying his bills from
I
wrestling.
also think the fact that when he stopped the steroids and stopped the drugs, obviously your personality goes back to what probably it should have been, and then he was calmer a lot, but I think with the guys, maybe he was a little different with the guys because you know how women are. And I'm not saying, oh, here I go, saying something that I'm 100% against. But when men are with other men, it's like, hey, dude, hey, this, hey, that. But when you're with a woman and a woman says something that's your partner or not your partner, I don't know if you feel this way, Tom or Rich, but if a lady says something to you that a man would say, you get a little more pissed off because it was a woman that said it to you. I don't know whether it takes away some manliness from you. I don't know, but I think that might
it definitely could happen. It could be something that just it comes out wrong or it rubs you the wrong way, whether it's a guy or a girl. And coming from the girl, it might just again, it's all in what's said or the angle. But no, you're not wrong. But like with Jimmy, all the years we were together, he just liked to smoke weed. It was whoever had weed, smoke weed, and that was it. That was it. They'd have a couple beers at the end of the night. All the years with the Metal Maniac running up and down the all over the country. But I mean, there's a lot of years. Like he was the most prominent figure on the indies for 30 years, literally 30 years from when he was done on television for the last time with Vince. And then he started, and he always lived in Jersey, always in Jersey. He was making all the East Coast trips, not to mention flying all over too. I mean, he was the number one guy of all the names on the indies.
But I think when he started doing the weed, that wasn't the time, obviously, when he was doing everything else. He was doing a lot of heavy stuff. When that happened back then. Yeah,
I'm saying he settled in for the weed. That was his.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He finally got down to
chilled.
doing.
He just chilled. He just that made him chill, and that was it.
Yeah,
he was always laid back.
Yeah,
and again, being in the ring with him, guy that I idolized, and then he's let me call the whole match. Brother will do, I just call the match around like stuff that he did and his spots, and then I'd intertwine my stuff to make him look better. He did everything we ever said. Never one time did he ever say he didn't want to do something. Never once.
Yeah. But like I said before, it's like difference is, like you said too, in who you're saying it and who you're talking to.
Sure.
Like with my second husband, we had that incident where like his family could say whatever they wanted to him. He was like, in his 40s and he 30s, whatever it was when we were together. And, he would listen to everything they said and never say anything back. I'd say something to him and it was a big blowout, a big fight.
I could see that. I definitely could see that.
And because I guess he felt more comfortable until the day that I picked him up and then Samoan dropped and threw him down the second flight of steps. Then he stopped after that. Then he stopped.
I need footage of that. I got to see footage of that.
Jeannie, am I right?
Yep.
Yeah, it pissed me off when he went after my kid, man, and you don't do that. You don't. No,
I get it. I get it. But
so that was that.
Your example was perfect. Your family says shit to you. You let it. Nothing bothers you. I say shit, and you go off your hook. I could see that completely.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I get it. I'm sure it's probably happened to you at one time or another as well. It happens to everybody.
Everybody.
Okay, Rich, let's do another question or two because I could talk to Tom forever.
Yeah, we could talk for hours.
You know you're going to come back for part 4. You know that,
Of course.
Right? Okay.
As long as you and Jeannie are here, Jeannie's not saying anything. I'm waiting for Jeannie to say something.
Jeannie's always like that.
I could listen to your voice for hours. So
me too, but I'm the one with the big mouth.
I'm full of shit. I got a lot to say.
I'm the one with the big mouth, Tom. You know that. Out of the two of us. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay. A lot of your wrestling has been on the indies. Are there any independent promoters on your shit list to the point that you won't work on their cards?
Whoa, that's a good question.
No, you know what? There's been like times over now. Remember, September is 41 years for me. So 41 years is a lifetime and a half. That's a long time. So I'm at the point now where like there's been guys that pissed me off, of course, like I just mentioned about like Heyman, to where it was time to like separate myself from all the cancellations. So, but you just let it go. Like there was a guy, lived in New York, ran in New York, and now he's in Florida. This guy's name is Frank Goodman, right? I was on Frank's first show and his opening match against Bam Bam Bigelow. So, I mean, there were so many positives to where Frank just became like too big for his own britches. Like I'll give you an example. He broke himself into the business. Like he taught himself how to wrestle.
Wow.
I have no respect for anybody that thinks they know what they're teaching themselves. Because why? Because you watch it on TV? No shit. We all watch it on TV.
Exactly.
But again, there's nobody even worth saying anything bad about. It's like time and place to where, like, say, all the years I wrestled, only I could count on one hand. They didn't have the money. You know, like 41 years of wrestling to where they know to have your money. They really do. Or just a handful of times they didn't. And it was like, I got to send it to you. I owe it to you. Or then they disappear into the night. You never see them ever again. Or they pay you. Or maybe they pay you because they want to keep a good name. But see, that's the thing, especially now. You can't, whether you're the wrestler or the promoter, you can't do anything wrong because the whole world's going to know. And then you still got all the bullshitters on there that just want to talk, and they do the shoot interviews, talk and talk and talk to where they're like, oh, I heard this or I heard that. Well, you can't be talking about people if you heard things. Right. You know what I mean? It's got to be true or don't repeat it, you know?
Exactly.
But to answer Rich's question, there's always been like, you'll always have flare-ups. You'll always have little things where you get guys canceling shows. You always get guys, and you just disconnect with them. So, like, the next time they call, you just can't, you're not available. Maybe they get the hint, maybe they don't. But nobody where it's like, oh, this guy, SOB, this and that. It's not even worth it. I mean, it's not even worth talking about. You just let it go. You let it go because it's just a time and place, and you just move on to the next one. You really do.
Really do. Talking about that, it reminds me of when we were talking about, and I believe Dave Yohannan was on this show too, when Bruno lost the belt to Buddy Rogers and that whole fiasco that happened. I don't know if you know about all that whole fiasco, but back then, the wrestlers used to handle their stuff, as they say, outside or inside the ring rather than, and then it would be over. You know what I mean? Like with what Buddy Rogers and Vince McMahon Sr. did, Sr. did to Bruno was horrific. And Bruno just said, you know what? This is how I'm going to get paid. I'm going to pay you back. And that's when he won the title.
Won the title.
Yeah, but Rogers was never in the hospital. He came out, he held his heart in the ring, because he had just come out of the hospital from a heart attack.
Right.
And that's why he lost the match to Bruno. He was never in the hospital. He never had a heart attack. Okay. What happened was Bruno was double booked by Buddy Rogers and Senior. And Bruno, of all people, would never, ever not show up for a card he was getting paid for.
Right.
And what happened was he would go to one show that he knew of and didn't know about the other show. And the State Athletic Commission came after him. And Bruno was like, wait a minute, I wasn't booked for that show. Yeah, you were. Here's the paperwork. And they had really screwed him big time. And that was how he was going to get back at Buddy. And he said to Buddy in the ring, and I got this from Bruno's mouth, He said to him in the ring when he had him in the backbreaker, he said to him, "Give up, or I will break your back." And that's when Buddy gave up. But it wasn't because of his heart; it was because of
That's a
how
great
badly,
story. That's a great story.
how badly they had screwed Bruno over. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's a great story.
yeah. And it's true. And that's the sad part about it, that some crap went on like that. I don't know if it still goes on now, but like you said, there's too many ways to find out about it. But back then, I'm sure a lot of crap went on, that was pretty bad with people and, not wanting to put people over or not wanting to, meet up with them, have them pass, have them do anything good,
Right.
But yeah,
Well,
that's a true
now
story.
everybody, even when I was there, before I was there, people are always looking over their shoulders, scared about their job or their spot in the company or their push. Every little thing they do, they're always scared, always worried, to the point of like, I don't want to, piss on somebody's shoe, do this, do that. They're always worried about, because it's so easy, especially now. Like you have guys like coming up through NXT that think they're the next great thing. And then they find themselves down there just getting stale, and then they get let go.
Yeah.
It's like they're always scared. It's like, oh, am I going to get called up? Or then when they're on the main roster and they lose a couple of matches, oh, are they done with me? Are they going to job me out now? They forever. It's so sad that you got to be scared of your spot and you just can't do your, do good business and have fun and enjoy it. You're always worried.
Right. And there's no protection. It's not like at your job, your job is safe or whatever. It's no protection. No. You could be like, even like somebody like Obafemi, you could be a big draw today and be on top of the card. And then all of a sudden tomorrow, nobody sees you anymore and they don't know why.
You just said it, but you said the wrong name. Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman was Obafemi, right?
Yeah, he was.
He was Obafemi.
You're right.
I see him on a food show after he's on a food show or something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, I don't follow it close enough to know, but it's like yesterday this guy was the biggest thing in wrestling, and then he was out, and then apparently he went back. But I'm thinking, like, I don't like. I mean, I honestly don't know what happened. I don't.
Apparently, this is what the story is. Apparently, they made him the monster among men and this and that, but apparently he has knee problems. And I think a couple of times he blew out something in his knee, but I don't know 100% that that's true. It's, again, just what was out there.
Right.
But like I said, you never know. That's why I say even with somebody like Oba, with Brock Lesnar, that was never going to happen. For some reason, Brock had a stronghold on everybody's balls. So that was never going to happen with Brock.
Right.
But you never know. Like you go in there today, like Jordan Grace just got just like that for no reason. They let her go. And, you could just walk in after being a top guy or top girl, walk in and they say, well, hi, it's been nice knowing you. Goodbye. Wish you.
Like you just mentioned her. I just read about her the other day. Somebody wrote on one of the posts, they said something about she came in with all kind of promise, great potential, lot to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And also that, the whole angle they did with Joe Hendry, where he comes in, everybody's two top prospects where they could have done a lot with.
Yeah.
And they dropped the ball on both. And it's like, listen, they know what they're doing. Now, again, I go back to the McMahon mentality.
Right.
I know that there's still McMahon's running it, so that it's still there.
Yeah.
The mentality is still there, even though it's a different owner. All I'm saying is they don't like when somebody's over big. Like, and I'll give you another example. The girl that I've been waiting for years, Tessa Blanchard, I see her every day on Facebook wasting away in Mexico.
Yeah.
And all due respect to Mexico. What the freak is this girl doing in Mexico full time?
I know.
She should be on our TVs every Monday night.
I know. You'd think that Tully had some kind of pull, but apparently he doesn't. There's got to be a heat there. There's got to be a beef. There's got to be something there. Yeah, because she's good. She's very good. And that's the thing. Yeah, she is. And that's the thing. Like Joe Hendry, God bless him. The only thing I really like about him is he has got the cutest dimples, but that's about it. He's just a regular wrestler. You know what I'm saying? He's nobody special.
Right. It goes back to what I said before. They don't like when they get over in other companies.
They also don't like if you're getting over and they're not the ones who put you over.
That's my point.
You know what I'm saying? That's the point. Exactly. That's
my
difference.
point.
Yep.
This girl's, she's great in Mexico, and I know she left TNA, whatever else. Mm-hmm. And they've had their chance to hire her 10 different times.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was something she used the N word or something racist related.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the reason she doesn't work there all these years later, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
You may
met
never see
her
her.
a couple times, and the nicest,
She was very nice.
kindest.
Yep. Great
Just,
bloodline. I mean, just the angle, just the bloodline with Magnum and with Tully and who they were around. And
Exactly.
Christ, you could start an angle with her and Flair just because of her dad and Flair's dad.
Oh God, you could do
Just
that in
saying,
a heartbeat.
without even thinking about it. It's
Yeah.
built in. It's already built
Yeah.
in. It's ready to
right
go.
there. Yeah, it's right there. All you got to do is put them together, and the people would freak out. But
Yep.
there is a reason. There's got to be a heat there somewhere. There has to
Somewhere.
be. Yeah, there has to be.
Somewhere.
Well, look, buddy, we're going to have to close this down. Like I said, we could talk. We could have a 3 or 4 hour podcast with you.
I'm waiting for Jeannie to say something.
well,
Jeannie.
I have a couple. The personal questions, whatever. One, how are the boys? How are you?
Everybody's great. We're done with sports. They're all retired now.
Really?
My oldest graduated
Aw.
college, so he's in the real world now.
Wow.
My youngest is going to be a sophomore in college this coming season. So I get my falls back. I could take some bookings again in the fall because I would completely take off from like Labor Day all the way. Well, there's not much around Christmas, and then the New Year is kind of slow anyway. But the fall, I'll be able to get some bookings in the fall again because no football, so everything's over now. So, but everybody's great. The family's great. Everybody's great. And now I want to say I have 3 things real quick.
Knock
Carp,
yourself out.
when will everybody be able to watch this?
Oh, tonight.
Okay, so I want to plug the gathering this weekend in Charlotte.
Yep.
I leave tomorrow morning. I'm there all day
You're
Saturday.
going.
Oh,
First one ever. First
one. Wow.
Our
First one
friend
ever.
Michelle is down there. She left. She's
Yeah.
there now.
Who's Michelle?
Her name is Michelle Stern.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
tell her to say hi if you're
We
able
will.
to tell her to say hi.
Yeah, we will.
I'll be there all day Saturday, so that's my first gathering.
Wow.
The other thing is, I normally don't do this, but because we just talked about it, first time wrestling is going to be at the Great Allentown Fair,
When?
September 3rd. It's a Thursday night.
Oh,
September 3rd.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday night. First time. Carm, I would have to Google it. I don't know how many years it's been. The last
I used to
time
be able to
was
go there with my eyes closed.
Listen, last time I was there, I was sitting ringside. It was Bruno against Bulldog Brower.
Wow. I remember that. Yep.
It was.
I want to go. I want to go so bad.
Okay, so September the 3rd. It's
Right.
a friend of mine runs shows. He's actually in the Hagerstown, Maryland area, but he does these mailers every year
Okay.
to all the fairs and the circuits, and he's been trying for Allentown for forever. They finally
Wow.
gave in. So
Oh my God. I'm going to have to tell Dawn. Who's going to be on the card? Do you know?
it's a big card. He's got, I mean, a lot of the current name guys,
Right.
I know, say Enzo. I want to say the Good Brothers. I want to say maybe I don't know if it's Ziggler's there. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe Matt
Yeah,
Riddle.
but Enzo's supposed to be going back to WWE. Him and Cass. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I think he's got to do all his bookings. I'm pretty sure he's
Okay.
going to be there because
Okay.
think about it. It's only. I mean, today's what? Today's a 20.
Yeah.
What's that? Probably 5 weeks, maybe. I
Yeah.
want to say. Anyway, so that's September 3rd, Great Allentown Fair, which I'm looking forward to.
Wow. Okay.
The gathering this weekend, and then one last shout out because it took 40 years. If everybody can
Yes.
see it.
You brought it.
It took 40 years. 40 years. Finally,
How do we get one? How do we get one?
I got one for you and Jeannie for sure.
Oh.
Now,
No, I'm buying mine.
no. So
I
here's
love
the thing.
Thomas.
Here's the thing, real quick, and then we'll go. Hastel Toys out of Ohio. They've been in business about 5 years. All the companies are making them like the old Hasbros. And he reached out to me, but unfortunately, it was over 2 years ago. His wife passed away, so it put the project on hold for a while. But it's been out now. So with the good part about everything comes from China, so you have to order 600 to start.
Right.
And I told him, I said, you're going to do great because I have so many people. I never had one, and I know so many people that are going to want one. So they went crazy at first. So now that it's under 100 left. So now,
Wow.
and I told him, I said, you had enough confidence in me. These other companies didn't. And I told you were
Exactly.
going to do well with it. He did great with it. So now he's
Wow.
going to make another one now coming up. Because he
Wow.
did so
Look at
well
you,
with the first
Tom.
one.
I told you you're getting more popular as you get older. I'm
In
telling
my old
you.
age,
Where
Hey.
where can people go online to buy them?
it's simply Hastel Toys. If it's a Hastel with 2 T's, but it's like everything else, Gene. You Google it, it comes right up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
HastelToys.com and comes
So
right
it's
up.
HASTTEL or LA?
Correct. Yep,
EL.
2 T's.
Perfect. Okay,
Hastel
that's
Toys. It comes
Pastel
right up.
Toys, Tom Brandi. Oh my God.
And they
that
have
is so
everybody
awesome.
though, Carm. It's everybody. Everybody you ever liked in wrestling, they're already on there. He's
Very
already made
cool.
everybody. Everybody's already on there.
That is
But-
so cool.
But if you guys decide about, let me know about Allentown, and
We'll let you know for sure.
We'll go from there. But yeah, it's a Thursday night, September. It's right before Labor Day weekend.
Okay,
Yeah.
because if I go, I'll probably take off Friday then. You know, I don't know
Okay.
if you're going to go, Jeannie, but we'll talk
Yeah,
about it.
I already have it on my calendar. And I also have it on my calendar that I'm taking off the 4th because
Friday.
have
Yeah,
a
it's what I'm going to
4-day
do. I got to take off the
the
next
4-day
day.
weekend. I'll
You know,
wind up
and
with
not
4
only
days.
that, but you know, when you get to be my age, the bones don't work like they're supposed to, so everything hurts more. You know,
You
so
know
that's
what
what I
else,
do. If I do
Here's-
something big the day before, I got to take the next day off.
Carm? You know what it is? Just being on those grounds brings back all the memories.
I'm going to cry. I'm telling you right
I'm
now, I'm
getting
probably going to
the
cry.
chills
Yep.
talking about it right now, only because of all the memories and all the memories.
Oh my God.
I only wrestled, believe it or not, I only wrestled at the Ag Hole maybe twice on the Indies.
I was there so many times, and we used to go to the George Washington Hotel in between Ag and Hamburg. Oh my God.
And that's you know, just all the years the Ag Hole's been there, you think
I'm
more
choking
people
up
would run
already. Yeah, it's
it. You
crazy.
think more people
Do we
would
know
run
what
it.
time it starts?
It's probably 7, but I'll message you. I'm sure it's 7.
Yeah, let us know, please. And
Yeah,
we'll
just
keep,
because
yeah,
I
we'll
usually work till 4:30, so I
yeah,
get time to get
we'll
there.
keep pushing it. You know, we'll push it between now and then.
Yeah,
too.
because I figured, we were talking about it. Let me throw it out there.
Yeah.
You know that, and then this
Yeah.
That was
weekend-
going to be my other question. Where can we see you?
Well, every other show
mine
we've
too.
done,
I was going to ask that too.
every other show that we've done, really nothing going, just the normal indies. But this time, all this stuff all at once.
Oh, I'm so excited. Poor Rich. I think he got kicked off. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
His battery ran out.
His battery ran out. Yeah. Well, we'll tell him everything that you said. But listen, thank you so. Oh, wait a minute. There he is. He's back again.
He's back.
Yeah, Rich, you just missed it. Tom
Yeah,
is
I
going
lost
to be.
mine.
And Tom is going to be at the Old Ag Hall on the 3rd of September.
Well, it's outdoors though.
Oh no, it's the fair.
It's the fair.
Oh, not
At
at
the
the hall.
hall.
It's going to be at the fair. Okay.
It's
well,
right on the
hopefully it won't
same
be too
grounds
hot.
though. It's right outside the hall.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very cool. So yeah, but you can't come anyway. You live in Virginia. Damn you.
Road
You had
trip.
to move. You had to. Yeah, road trip. You had to
Road
move far
trip,
away,
Rich,
didn't
road
you?
trip.
All right. Well, we're going to say goodbye now. I want you to come back. You know what I want you to do? This is already. I'm going to book it right now. After the Ag Hall, okay? Or I keep calling it the Ag Hall. I'm sorry. After that night, we're going to book you to come back and talk about it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that'll be cool.
It's a good card. It's a good talent.
Yeah.
A lot of good. They had a good budget for the promoter was able to go out and get some good guys. So yeah, it's going to be good.
There you go. Now we got a September show coming up already. Damn, that's
Carm,
cool.
I'll text you guys the names that I know that are on it. It's posted. I just don't have it.
That's no problem.
I'll tell you who's going to be on it.
Okay, great. And maybe we can pick up some guests there too for our show while we're there.
You will. Definitely will.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tom. God bless you. Mwah.
Love you guys.
Love you now and forever.
Forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
Ever. I'm telling you, tell your wife that we don't love you that way, but we love
Real
you.
pleasure to meet you, Tom.
Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry. I was too loud. Say it again. He didn't hear you.
I just was going to say it was a real pleasure to meet you.
Now, you as well, Rich. Hopefully we meet
Can you hear me
upcoming
now?
in person.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but you know, it just, you
Yes,
know,
thank you.
right? Okay, but anyway, be in touch. and we're going to have you back. I mean, I can do a episode 10, 12, 15, no
Yeah.
problems. I mean,
Yeah,
you
we
are
don't even
awesome.
we don't even prepare for this. It's just we just wing
No,
it. We just
you
wing it.
are one of the best guests we've ever had. I love
Yes.
it. I
Easy. We
absolutely
just
love
wing
it.
it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We wing it. We just wing it.
Okay. So, all right, everybody, hold on. We're going to be out in a second. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love
Take
you
care.
guys. Take care.
Okay, we'll see
See
you
ya.
soon.